Hey everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another exciting episode of Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. I'm delighted to welcome back to the show someone I have not talked to on the show since January of 2016. It is writer, comedian, host of the very popular at one point website, what am I saying? Podcast, Go Bayside. Please put your hands together for April Richardson.
Yeah, 10 years. It's been 10 years?
Yeah, I was listening back to the episode. I have not listened to the full episode because I'm bad with time management. But I was listening back and you were saying that you said something about like being a grown ass 36-year-old woman. And I was like, wow.
Now 40, I just turned 47 a couple weeks ago. So
happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy belated birthday.
40, a grown ass 47-year-old woman.
Yeah. So I am connecting with you remotely. You are in what part of England?
I live in Brighton, England. It's like an hour south of London on the coast.
Okay. So you left Los Angeles some years ago. How many years ago?
7 years ago. I've lived here 7 years.
Okay. Yeah. And I knew that you were living in England and you were in a relationship, and then that relationship did not go well, was abusive. We will get into the details of that. Yes. And you posted something recently about it. And I was like, I would love to know what happened. I wonder if she is cool with talking about it. So I reached out to you. You said you were. Yeah. So we're going to get into all that, but we should probably at the top, you had said to me, just so you know, this is going to be a colossal bummer.
Yeah, it is. But I feel more comfortable. The more distance I have from it, I feel more comfortable talking about it. And I think that it's also useful to talk about. And because I'm not a person who's in any position to give advice about anything. I'm a certified dipshit. But having lived through this, and experienced it, obviously I learned a lot. Obviously, you can't go through something like that and not learn a lot. But the perspective it gives you, especially now when people go, 9 times out of 10, when somebody hears about an abusive relationship, they go, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just leave? You could have just left. And
I feel like in 2026, we're supposed to know better than taking that approach.
You would hope. And having been in one and knowing firsthand, that's the hardest part of it for so many reasons. And the first being, that's the most dangerous time. Right. That's the most, when you leave an abuser, they're like, how dare you leave me? How fucking dare you? And like literally come after you. And so now, it's kind of the one thing, if anyone can take away the one thing from my story, it's like, please never say that to a person again. Please never say that. If anything, say, how can I help you leave? How can I help you leave? Don't go, why don't you just leave? Why didn't you just leave? Just leave. Right.
It's so judgmental.
It's so judgmental, but it's also like, it is so not that. I had to do secret planning. I had to send secret emails, buy secret plane tickets. Like I had to do like a covert operation. It took so much time and effort. It wasn't like I could just be like, bye later. Yeah. Because I was like, this guy might punch me in the face. This guy might murder me. Like it was that level of like, I got to figure out how to maneuver my way out of this. And so please everyone keep that in mind. Like please just don't go, hey, why didn't you just leave?
So
it's not simple.
So let's issue all the content and trigger warnings here. If this seems like something that will be tough for you to, it'll be tough to listen to, but if you're like, this is not what I need right now, we understand. Goodbye. But for those who stay, okay. So tell me from the beginning.
The simplest explanation is I got catfished basically because when I met and dated this person before I moved here, obviously it was long distance. I met him when I was on vacation. I was here in England for a friend's 40th birthday party. And I decided to stay for like a month. And we ended up meeting up and going on a date. And it went so well that I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then the rest of the time that I was here, we ended up spending every single day together.
Was it like a dating website? Was it like an app?
It was Twitter. So yes, yes, people do used pre-Elon. This is pre-Elon Twitter where like it was still normal and
got it.
he DM'd me, which I now know is his everyday practice. He casts a wide net DMing ladies. So he DM'd me. And so we were talking in the DMs, and then, we met up, and, it's like, I hate now to say anything nice about him, but the beginning was amazing. Like, I was like, this is amazing. This is working out so well. This is great. And so I ended up, the last 2 weeks of my vacation, we spent every day together. And then when I was leaving, he was like, we have to figure out how to make this work. I know this is crazy. Like, you live in LA, I live here, but this is too special to not figure it out. And I was like, yes, me too. Yes, I agree. And so I went back to LA, and for about 8 months, we dated long distance. Like, he would come to LA for a week. I'd come to England for a week. And in that time, it was everything was great. And I understand when you're dating anybody, like, you put your best foot forward, of course. And then also, when you're dating long distance, it's so easy for a week at a time to be like, it's amazing and perfect. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then within months of me moving here, and we got married in America. We got married in Vegas. And which, yes, we wanted to do it. Yes, it was for romance, but it was also in order for me to move here and live with him, I needed a spouse visa.
And did you... Because I know that you had spent a lot of time in England before this too.
Yeah.
Like before college and stuff, you had lived there and you have friends there.
Yeah.
Was your wanting to move there, was it because of him, because you loved him, or were you also kind of, or was it just because you were in love with him, or was it also wanting to live in England?
Actually, truly, we talked about, he has children. He was even like, maybe I'll move to LA. So it wasn't entirely like, oh, I can't wait to, like, I like England. And yes, I'd been here a lot. But in the discussion at first, it was sort of like he wanted to move to America, but then he has children. So it was like, well, I can't do that. I have children. And I'm like, that's fair.
Got it.
So it was more to do with that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was stoked. I'm like, yeah, England's cool. I'll live there. Great. And then genuinely within months, 2 or 3 months of moving in with him here in England, I was like, what is going on? Like, it was like a switch flipped. Previous things about his personality, like I started to realize, like, wait, you're not acting anything like you did when we were dating. One of the starkest things, this really happened, like, when he was visiting me a lot, we would go on road trips because I like doing it, but also it was a kind of thing of like, well, if you're going to have to come to America a bunch to see me, we might as well like go, it's LA. We have to drive to Palm Springs or Vegas or whatever. Like, we went on a ton of road trips and places around there, and he would be so into it. Like, this is great. I love it. Sure. And when I moved here, I remember being like, I mean, honestly, kind of bored. I don't know anybody in Brighton. Most of my friends in England are up north in Manchester, right? Mm-hmm. Which is like a 3-hour train ride. So I got to Brighton where I'm like, I don't know a soul. So I was going, hey, can we do stuff? Can we go on road trips? Can we do like some activities? And he would be like, no, I hate road trips. I hate all of that. And I was like, what? I go, we did it constantly when you were visiting me. And he goes, I just did that so that you would like me.
Oh, wow.
And that was a kind of immediate, like, wait, so you faked entire parts of your personality so that I would like, I know liking road trips seems minimal, but I'm like, it just made me go, what else did you pretend to be into in order to get me to marry you? Like, yeah, it was like, oh, okay. And then of course, as time went on and it was unraveling, it started to be like, oh, you just yes-anded me all the time. Like, the thing that's like embarrassing for the person who falls in love with a narcissist, which I will say that he is one, is you start to realize, like, you kind of they just mirror you. Mm-hmm. Everything you say you like, they go, yeah, I like that too. Yeah, I do that too. Yeah, I think that's fun too. Yeah, that's my hobby too. And it's embarrassing because you start to think like, oh, I kind of like fell in love with myself. I fell in love with a person who was just like, yes-anding everything I was saying. Right.
Showing you yourself. Well, you're like, we're so compatible. We have the same interests.
Yes. I'm like, oh my God, we literally like every single thing. And then when I moved here, it was like, oh no, we have zero in common. Like, you just did all that to get me here. And now that I'm here, you're like, I don't have to pretend anymore. And it was like, oh my God, what are you talking about? So that was kind of my first like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
But then I think when you're with somebody and they fake it long enough, you have a taste of like the ideal. You're like, well, you're kind of almost like, if I behave, I can get him to be that guy again.
Right. Like the highs are so high.
Yes.
And you think you need to do something to get back to that feeling.
Yes. Which is like classic love bombing also. You know, it's like, that was the other thing. I'm sure you like dating in LA. Nobody wants to be your boy. Everyone's like, they got you at arm's length. They're like, just so you know, you're not my girlfriend and this isn't serious and you can't lock me down and whatever. So it's like, also when you meet a person who immediately is like, I want to be your boyfriend and be in a relationship with you, you're like, wow, oh my God, I haven't heard this in forever.
I was literally just talking to a friend who was sort of explaining. She was like, there were a lot of red flags that I just chose not to look at chose not to recognize, because here was this guy who openly wanted to be in a relationship with me.
Yes.
Like he chose her.
Yes. Well, exactly. Completely. And because prior to meeting him, I had not been in a relationship in like 5 years. Like I personally had not had like a serious boyfriend in probably 4 or 5 years. So yes, for him to immediately be like, I will commit to you, I am down to do this, I was like, oh my God. And then also it made me ignore like the only like red flags before I moved here were he wanted to communicate all of the time. Mm-hmm. He wanted to text, phone call, whatever, like 24 hours a day. But I was able to talk. I'm very hands-on. I don't need you to talk to me all. In previous relationships, I've had boyfriends be like, I want you to talk to me more. And I'm like, I don't need to. Like, I'm pretty independent.
You're an only child.
I'm an only child. I love being alone. And I know that I have to work on that. So instead of seeing it as a red flag, I saw it as like, well, I should compromise. Mm-hmm. I should want to talk to this person more. I should be less hands-off. So I was able to talk myself out of my initial feelings, which ended up being right, of like, two people should not talk to each other 24 hours a day. I don't care how in love you are. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's
a lot. It
was so overwhelming. But to me, it was like, well, he's so into me.
Right.
This must be what love is.
Yeah.
Yes. It must be love if he wants to talk to me all day, every day.
Oh, I was also not justifying is too strong because I don't justify it, but I was talking to someone who is being flirted with by a married man right now. And I was talking about my own like dalliances in that sort of stuff like 20 years ago, which I don't feel good about and I'm not justifying, but it's this fantasy I had was, oh my God, this person likes me so much they're willing to risk their security. Not, oh my God, I'm one of a lot of people that this person is wants to cheat on their spouse with.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Because we don't ever want to think, like, obviously you're going to want to frame things like that in a way that
feels good.
Yeah, of course. Like, of course. So yeah, while genuinely in my bones, I was like, this guy needs to talk to me too much and it's bothering me. I talked myself out of it. Oh, this is romantic. You need to view this as like, he can't get enough of you, you know?
How fast did all this move? Like from the time you met him to the time that you guys got married to the time you moved to England? Oh,
like we met and then 8 months later I moved to England.
Okay. So that's fast.
Because it was super fast. And the thing that I was on board. I can't pretend I wasn't on board. Like I was like, yes, let's do this. This is incredible. And because even when I left, after the 2 weeks I was here on vacation and we like spent every day together, he gave me a love letter and was like, don't read this until you're on the plane. And I'm like, okay. And I wept on the plane. It was like one of the most beautiful.
It's romantic.
Yeah. I was like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe this is happening to me. Amazing. Great. So we do like the back and forth thing. We get married in Vegas. I apply for the time and the money, like moving here was super expensive, tons of paperwork, tons of work to do. Thankfully I had a lot of money saved from when I worked at Chelsea Lately. So like I paid for everything.
When you say, you don't have to answer, but I'm just curious when you say super expensive, like what are we talking about?
It's hard to say out loud.
Okay, you don't have to.
It's
in the four figures?
No, 5 figures.
Okay. Wow.
That's like moving all my stuff here, all the visa. This is like too dumb and convoluted of a sidebar, but I tried to get an expedited one with this company in LA that was like a huge ripoff and didn't work. So that was like a huge waste of money. But yeah, it was like low 5 figures.
Got it.
And I thankfully, look, when I worked at Chelsea lately, I saved so much money because I was like, you know how it is in TV jobs. It's so feast or famine that I was like, dude, I will never be making this kind of money again in my life. I was making 6 figures working there. And I was like, I have to save as much of this as possible because who knows if I'll ever have this job again. So thankfully, I had a shit ton of money in savings. Also, because I don't have kids. I drove a Honda Accord. I live in a rent-controlled apartment. I eat at Taco Bell. Like, I genuinely don't have, like, expensive tastes or whatever. So I saved a shit ton of money, and which came in handy for this and basically got liquidated by the end of this.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So I move over here, and like I said, within months, I was like, oh, what's happening? Yeah. On top of the fact that, like, there's no nice way to... All he did was sit on the couch and drink beer. And I'm talking, like, stumbling, barfing, passing out drunk every night of the week. Every single night. And I was like...
Had you seen any of that when he had come? No. Wow.
That's the other thing, too, is because we were only seeing each other, like, a week at a time or whatever, you know... Yeah, he drank, but it would be like a beer or two here and there. It was a normal, and I have to say, I've never had alcohol in my life, which again is never. I've never even tasted.
I might have because can't remember if I knew that, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, because everyone in my family growing up was an alcoholic, so I was just like, you know what, I don't need to participate. But again, I understand that makes me an outlier. That's not normal, and I never expect anybody to like. I've never dated any. Most of the people I've dated drink like a normal amount and socially. So I also don't expect that of anybody. I adjust and I understand that like I'm the weirdo in that situation. But once I was living with a person who was so intoxicated that you couldn't, I would tearfully be like, can you maybe just do it like 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week? Like I was like bargaining because I'm like, I can't even talk to you. Like you're so intoxicated that it's like, you know, we can't even do things together. It's like, you need help getting up the stairs. Like it was really shocking because I'm like, you're in your 50s, dude. Like, you're not a frat boy. Like, how is this not like lost its appeal?
Right.
But then that started the, you know, when I would tearfully be like, can we negotiate the nights that you drink? Then it became, you're trying to control me.
Oh.
April, you're controlling me. You're abusing me. And I was like,
no.
Oh my God, I am. Like, I was like, no. I'm just asking if like, can we compromise? And it would be like, you're trying to control my behavior. You're trying to tell me what to do. And I like started to believe it. That was the beginning of him telling me I'm doing the controlling. I'm doing the abusing. I'm doing the manipulating, when I would be like, I'm just asking you to please not drink beer maybe 2 nights a week. And then it became, you know, it was when we first started dating, he was like, I have depression. Like I have clinical depression. And I'm like, great. I'm like, bro, I lived in LA. Who fucking doesn't? You know, I'm like, yeah, but he was like, so I want you to know that you're going to have to make like certain concessions. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like thinking, you know, again, I have plenty of friends with clinical depression who take antidepressants and everything. Like, I'm like, yeah, I understand. But then that became like, if you ask me to do anything, it's going to exacerbate my depression. If you, and then it became, if you go anywhere without me, I don't know what I'm going to do while I'm alone.
Oh no.
It became like, if I went to meet a friend for lunch and I came home later than like 1 hour, it would be like, I was going to kill myself if you didn't come home Like everything
because
became,
was it like because he loves you and needs you so much, or he's so, in such a depressed state he can't be by himself?
It was first, I'm trying to get this accurate in the stages that this happened in, right? Because it was a very slow movie. Like, obviously, if you move in with somebody and the very next day they try to control your movement, you'd be like, fuck you, dude, I'm out of here. So it was a very slow burn as far as, the parameters of what I was allowed to do and not allowed to do. And the thing, I was supposed to check in every hour, whether via text or phone call. And of course, when I was first presented with that, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's insane. And then he was like, no. It's because of my depression. If you don't check in with me every hour, I worry that something happened to you. Like, I'm going to worry that you're dead. I'm going to worry that you got kidnapped. Like, that's where my brain goes. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, logically, that makes sense, right?
Here's one of those concessions.
Yes. And so I'm like, okay, I guess I can do that. But on the days that I would forget to do it, then it would be like, again, I would go meet somebody, right? And I would put my phone in my purse and we'd get talking and I would lose track of time. And then I would pick up my phone and there's like 20 missed calls and 20 texts. And like, where are you? What's going on? How dare you? You know what I mean? Like that kind of reaction where I'd be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I would come home and get screamed at. And when I say screamed, I mean like top of the lungs, cartoon, tonsil ripping. I don't mean like, oh, he raised his voice. I mean like screaming like you've never heard before, where I was like, oh my God. And he'd be like, you agreed to this. You know that if you don't do this, there's a chance that I'm going to harm myself because I'm so worried. And I would tearfully be like, oh my God, you're right. I'm sorry. I didn't do what I said I would do. And so, but that would happen. And I would comply and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And then I'd be out with people and go, I have to stop and text or call. And they'd be like, okay. And then again, another hour, I have to text. And they'd be like, what? All right. But then I started to notice, you don't even do this with your kids. You don't do this with anybody else. You have children, sir. If there's anybody on the planet you should be worried about every hour on the hour, would it not be your children? And like, he required this kind of stuff from nobody else in his life. And so I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Why is it just me that has to do all these weird things, right? And then it would become like, a big reason I stopped doing stand-up is because, I'm out at night. I'd have to check it. Why are you out at night with other men? Then it became and I'm like, you mean the comics on the bill? And it would be like, you're out at night with all these men. And then he would insist on coming with me. I couldn't go do stand-up by myself. He would have to come with me, which then would go, imagine if your husband was like, I have to come to work with you every single day. You'd be like, what? No. Like, and then that became, well, then why am I it was like intimidating and weird and just like, well, I can't tell jokes in an environment where my husband's like staring me down.
So, and that's what he was, because yes, on the one hand, you don't want your husband to go to work, but on the other hand, like people's significant others do, go to shows sometimes, but he was intimidating when he was there.
But it wasn't under the guise of like, oh, I'm proud and I want to see you. It was like, I want to make sure you're not out at night with other men. Because he would see any man that talked to me. Well, that was another way that I was convinced that I needed to compromise, right? Because, like working in comedy, I know a lot of dudes. I was a comedian for like almost 15 years. Like, obviously, there's a lot of male comedians and they're all friends. And that was the other thing, is that he would be like, you have too many male friends. But he was able to frame it as a thing where I go, actually, you know what? I probably do have more male friends than like the average woman. I'd be like, okay, I guess I can see your point. I guess I could see how that'd be intimidating. And he was able to whittle it down to like, why are you talking to all these men? Why are you doing that? And I would stop. I would friends would text me, like guy friends, and I wouldn't answer them because, I'd be like, well, I don't want him to feel bad. And then it became like friends in general, female. Why are you talking to that lady for so long? Why are you talking to her? You talked to her longer than you talked to me. And I would be like, well, yeah, she's my friend. She's been my friend for 20. And then it was like, he would make the very concept of friendship feel weird and like a betrayal. You're talking to them longer than you talk to me. You sound happier when you talk to them than when you talk to me, and things like that. And I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. And then I would just stop answering the phone and like stop texting my friends because it wasn't worth getting screamed at. Like, I knew I'd get screamed at. And he was able to make it feel like a betrayal. Like, I would start to feel like I'm betraying him by talking to this other person too long.
Yeah.
And so that was the trick, is like, if you're able to frame a normal behavior as a betrayal or as something that hurts the person that you care the most about, then you start to go, well, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Mm-hmm. So if this thing I'm doing is hurting your feelings, I can stop doing it.
Right.
I can make that compromise.
That's what love is. That's what marriage is.
Yes, exactly. Like, that's what love is. If I love you, then okay, I'll stop talking to these dudes. Mm-hmm. And it becomes like, I was made to do that so much that it started to be like, okay, well, if I love you, I'll just have 0 friends to prove how much I love you.
And no career too, right?
I had no career and like no hobbies. And like, it got whittled down to that, where I'm like, it's difficult to articulate because I know how absurd it sounds, because again, I understand that if somebody immediately just tries to boss you around, you go, no, fuck you. But if they simmer it long enough and like frame it in words that are like, I'm afraid when you go out at night and I'm left home alone, I don't trust myself and I don't trust what'll happen and I don't trust that I won't harm myself. Then of course you go, oh my God, well, I don't want you to harm yourself, so I won't go out at night.
Right.
And then it became like, even if I would go to the store during the day, it's like, I'm afraid of what's going to happen when you leave the house. And then I would just like stop leaving the house. Like, I just didn't go anywhere because I'm like, something might happen. If I go somewhere, he's going to harm himself. So I can't leave the house.
Were you at that point, how were you feeling? Because I hear this and I'm like, oh my God, you were like trapped in this untenable situation. Did you feel that way?
Not for the first like year. I didn't. I felt bad. I felt, it wasn't good. Like, I wasn't like, this is great and I'm happy, but I was like, I think I was tricked in such a way that I thought, well, this must be real love because I'm sacrificing so much for it. This must be what it means to care for somebody, because I'm willing to give up all of this stuff in service to this person. And I think the gift of manipulators like this is they almost make you feel like the normal things that you do are selfish, or the normal everyday things that you do are hurting them, so that if you give it up, it's honorable. Mm-hmm. Right. It's like an virtuous. Honorable. Yeah. It's like, I'm being virtuous because I'm giving up everything I like for this person to prove to them that I love them. So I think at first I was like, man, I'm doing so much compromising. I'm like such a good wife because I'm just compromising and, I'm
pleasing.
Yeah. Him. Yeah. Like, it felt like I was being selfless. Like, I'm like, man, I'm being selfless. It's awesome. So, but I was like miserable. Like, I'm like, this is boring and lame and I hate it. But I guess it was like, sort of, this is what you do. You give up stuff in order to make a marriage work. Mm-hmm. So the first kind of like year, and because I hadn't caught on to the patterns, like, I did not catch on yet to the fact, like I said, that like, oh, you don't do this with your kids. You don't do this at work. Like, you don't do this. The things he was telling me, he would also, like, it started by saying, like, essentially, if you cared about me, you'd do this. If you cared about me, you'd check in. If you cared about me, you'd give up going out. And I'm like, well, I care about you, so I'll do it. And then it started to be like, the times I'd forget, or the times I'd slip up and, not text every hour or go meet a friend, he'd be like, well, you don't care about my depression. You don't care that what you're doing is exacerbating my depression and my condition. Right. And I would be like, oh my God, like, if you frame it like that, then it's especially like, it's almost like I'm making this person sick by doing my everyday activities. And
God, it's so insidious.
Yeah. And another thing is like, I don't have clinical depression. It's a thing. If you tell me that you have a sickness and you tell me the symptoms, I'm going to believe you. Mm-hmm. I don't have it. So I believe whatever you're telling me about your condition. So I was pretty naive about that, because he also told me, he was like, I even forget the name of it, but he was like, I have this special kind of depression that was like super turbo depression. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I genuinely am not. But it was like, in all seriousness, he was like, the kind of depression I have is like double the normal kind, and it's so difficult to treat, and it's like impossible to. And I was like, oh wow, okay, because I paid, when I first got here too, a couple months into it, I paid for him to have therapy because he was like, regular therapy doesn't work on it. And I was like, okay. And so he had to have this kind of like psychotherapy, this like very specialized psychotherapy that I paid for that was like not on the NHS. And I will never forget this because he came home from therapy one day. He was doing it for a couple months and he came home from therapy and he was like, yeah, just so you know, my therapist said that because my life has been so difficult and I've been through such difficult things, my anger, it's healthy for me to express my anger, and you should never stand in the way of me expressing my anger. And if you do, then you're hindering my healing process. I swear it was basically like,
wow.
I should be allowed to scream at you all day. And if you don't let me scream at you all day, my therapist says that you're like blocking my therapeutic journey. And I was like, okay, like, I didn't know enough at the time to be like, yeah, a therapist would never fucking say that, dude.
Right.
But I was like, okay, so the times he would scream at me and I would be like, please don't scream at me. He'd be like, remember what my therapist said. My therapist said, if you don't let me get this out, like you're standing in the way of my healing. And so it was like, I was supposed to just sit there and take it.
Right. Because this is him processing his shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And again, I can't stress enough the screaming. Like, in order to get my visa to stay here, I had to have character witnesses like write statements for me, and my downstairs neighbors and my next door neighbors, because we all share walls, wrote me witness statements to be like, we heard him screaming at her all day every day through the walls and the floor. It was like that level of screaming where like literally fucking Memorex, is it live or is it Memorex, like my hair's blowing back like while he's screaming at me. I had never in my parents didn't even, I've never been screamed at like that in my life.
Yeah.
And that started to be, like I said, any infraction, anything that I did quote wrong, I would get screamed at. And then I couldn't, if I ever tried to stop it, the therapist thing would come up, and then I started to cry. Like physically, I would just start crying because I'm like, I don't know how to make this stop. And then he would say that I was manipulating him with my fake tears. And then that became, if somebody tells you, there's no way to prove that you're not manipulating somebody. Do you know what I mean? Like, if somebody says to you, hey, you're manipulating me, you can just go, no, I'm not. Like there's it's a corner that you can't get out of.
Totally.
So the times that I would beg for him to stop screaming or beg for him to stop, also his chosen thing is punching himself in the face, breaking things with his head. Like he put holes in doors and stuff. And I would just be like, please stop, and like crying. And he would be like, you're manipulating me. And I just was like, my body is, I can't even control these tears. My body is crying because it's so stressed out by what's happening. And, it's just an impossible, you can't prove your way out of somebody saying that you're manipulating them. It's such a weird, you're just like, there's nothing I can say to that.
Yeah. No, years ago, my friend, but I look back and I'm like, maybe she was right, but she was like, you kind of get easily annoyed. And I was like, I'm totally fine with you saying that. I have no reaction because I don't get easily annoyed. If I were to be like, what? I don't think I do. Then she's like, aha, see? It's a similar thing, but not as pernicious. Did he, and I know that we are not going to say anything revealing of his identity, but I'm curious, did he leave the house ever?
No, he only had to go to work. So when I first, that's the other thing about, I guess I've also had another piece of advice for anybody who's in a long distance relationship. I think look, you're married. No relationship on planet Earth is two people exactly 50-50. Like that's one person is going to give up more than the other, whatever that is, career, family, like whatever. But I do think that even if it's not abusive, like I don't know if any relationship where one person gives up 100% of everything to be with the other person is ever going to truly work out.
Right.
Which is what I did anyway. Like I was like, sure, I'll give up my career, my apartment where I live, my country, my friends, and like everything to be here. Right. So I'm already coming from I'm already behind. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's so vulnerable. Even if you're in a healthy relationship, it's so vulnerable because you get there and then you're like, well, I don't have any friends. I don't have anywhere to go. I can't drive a car here. I don't know anybody in this city. So there's that. And then also, I think I didn't know him in his natural habitat. I didn't know his reputation. I didn't know how he was looked at work. I didn't know any of this. So once I moved here, it was like, oh, he didn't have any friends. He didn't have a social circle. He never went anywhere. He didn't have anybody to like vouch for him. Like if coming to visit me in LA, I was like introducing him to all my friends. Like I clearly had like social capital. Like I had enough people around me to go, well, you're not a psychopath because all these people wouldn't hang out with you if you were a psychopath.
Right.
I got here and I'm like, nobody's trying to hang out with you. Nobody is trying to hang out with you. You don't go anywhere. Of course, I'm like, hey, buddy, I'm your new wife. Shouldn't I like go meet your friends?
Meet friends, yeah. No.
Nothing.
What did he say? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, everything was about his depression. Look, and again, I'm obviously in no way mocking depression. Again,
yes.
I have many friends with many serious diagnoses. But this was my first experience with somebody where it was like everything revolved around it. It's all he talked about. Everything had to be catered to it. Like he would be like, well, my depression, people always disappoint. It is, again, every ex is crazy. Every friend has always betrayed him. Everybody's always betrayed him. Everybody can't handle my depression. They can't accommodate me. They don't understand it. But when this is presented to you with tears, he's got like tears in his eyes. And I was like, oh, you poor thing. Okay, yeah. I believe you. Like, I believe you. But then, of course, the longer I lived here and the more I got to, I've talked to 5, 6 of his exes. Like, I found out, everything he told me was made up. Like, everything about his past, everything about his family, everything was made up. I didn't really find that out until after I left. But, yeah. So that's the thing is I get here, I move in with him, no social anything. He didn't
He went
to like the pub. He had a job. He had a day job. And he went to the pub sometimes after work. And then I guess my first taste of like rules for thee and not for me was like, he would go to the pub after work and then come home stumbling, falling down, barfing, drunk. And I'd be like, that's interesting. You didn't check in with me.
Right.
At all whatsoever. You didn't tell me you were doing this, but like, had I done what you just done, I would have been screamed at for 7 hours.
Yeah. When he was screaming at you, was he calling you names?
Yeah, but not like, he wasn't like calling me a bitch or whatever. It would just be like, you're so selfish, you're so thoughtless, you don't care about anybody but yourself. Like really hammering home that like I was selfish and I didn't think about him and I didn't really love him. It became like very prove that you love me. You would literally say the words like, prove that you love me. You need to prove to me that you love me. And of course I'd be like, I gave up my entire life and moved to another country. Like what more can I do? But it was like, I don't think you love me, prove it, which is another kind of impossible. How do I do that? Trap. Like that's impossible. And it would be like, well, then it escalated. So after like a year or so, it escalated to, he would have me, or he would write down things, say again that if it was, I feel, I hate that I'm like blanking on the very many varied, like examples I could give you because it was so exhausting. He would also parse every syllable of everything that I would say. And if he wanted to catch me lying and wanted to, like, this is true. Like and again, I'm a goof, like I'm a goofy person. I joke around a lot. There's a reason I was a comedian. And like, so if I would say like, oh my God, there's like 1 million people out there today. He would go, oh, really? 1 million people? He'd be like, I think you're lying to me. And I'd be like, well, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people, he'd be like, well, then why did you say 1 million? He would be like, apologize for lying to me. And I would have to say, I'm sorry for lying to you.
Oh my God.
Because he wouldn't let it go. If I would just roll my eyes and go, come on, dude. Yeah. What are you talking about? He'd be like, if you cared about me, you would be precise with your language. If you cared about me, you would understand that I need you to not lie to me. And I'd be like, I'm not lying. It's an expression. And he'd be like, well, unless there was really 1 million people there, then you are lying. And you need to apologize for lying to me. And it was very like repetitive. It was like being in a cult of one person, because it would become like this ritualistic, repetitive, and it would start to happen more and more and more, where I had to be so careful to not even like joke around or to not even say something flippantly, because then I would get sat down and it would be like, what did you mean by that? Explain that to me. Why would you say that to me? Tell me exactly what you meant by that. And I was like, I don't know. It was a joke. And
it's like your world is getting smaller and smaller and
Yes.
smaller. And now he's infringing on the interior part of your world, which is just
Yes.
your expression.
And it would be like a court reporter, like the minute. So then he started grabbing sheets of paper. I swear to God, this is true. And I still have some of them because I found them in a drawer. So he would write down like whatever the infraction was, whatever I said that was wrong. If I said something sarcastically, he would also get on me about not, obviously British people speak English, but there's a lot of words. I hate that I remember this too, but they call eggplants aubergines.
Yeah.
And I'd always forget that. So I'd be like, hey, can you go to the store and get eggplants? And he'd be like, what? And I'd be like, oh shit, I mean an aubergine. And he started to use things like that as examples of like, I didn't really care about him. I was going to leave him and move away. I didn't care about, like acclimatizing to this new country. And I was like, no, dude, I just lived in another country for 40 years.
Yeah.
And so he would hold that kind of stuff against me as like proof that I was going to betray him and leave him and go back to America because I wasn't trying hard enough to fit into this new country. So things like that, it just became so stressful where I would just be like, okay, try not to say the wrong thing. Try not to say apartment instead of flat. Like I was so vigilant. And so he would grab a sheet of paper. He would write the date at the top of it. And he would literally write on a sheet of paper, April promises from here on out not to misuse words. Seriously, it would be like, she promises not to misuse words because she knows how much that upsets me, and like would hand it to me and make me sign it in front of him. He would make me sign it and then he would put it in a drawer. And then the next time that I did it, because he would go up to get it out of the drawer and he would put it in my face and be like, you signed this piece of paper saying that you would never do this.
Oh my God.
Why did you? And he would be like, this is a contract and you went back on your contract. And he'd hold it in front of my face going, this is proof that you're a liar because you signed this and you said you wouldn't do it again. And I'd be like, okay, I'm sorry. I just forgot. And he'd be like, well, then why would you sign a paper promising me that you weren't going to say this again? And that happened probably like a dozen times. And believe me, the first time he did it, I was like, this is insane. And he would be like, but I need this as assurance that you love me and that you're going to work hard on like accommodating.
Yeah. I mean, I can just imagine, and it's frightening me how much I'm sort of imagining all the ways in which this happened. But I could imagine in that moment being like, okay, fine, I'll just sign it. It's going to be impossible for me to get him to see how crazy this is. So I'll just sign it and I'll just try not to say the word. What's the harm?
Well, and also it was like, I'll sign this so I don't get screamed at for 4 hours.
Yeah.
He was also big on like not letting me sleep. Like he would,
oh my God,
try to, like he would scream and keep going. Like I would just be so tired and be like, can we continue this tomorrow even? And it would just be like, no, you have to understand. It was like, again, it's also impossible to prove. Like I'd apologize all the time. I'm sorry. And he would be like, it doesn't sound like you mean it. You have to apologize again. And I'd have to say it a certain amount of times to where he like believed it. And again, you just start to go,
you can't.
This is going to sound fake no matter what, because I am just saying it so you'll leave me alone.
Yeah.
And
when he would be yelling at you for hours.
Yeah.
What were you doing during that?
I would just look at the floor. It was like being sent to the principal's office. I would just stare at the floor like I just have to take this until he's done or he tires himself. In the beginning, I would like yell back. Like I'd be like, stop yelling at me. Like I'd just be like, please leave me alone. And then I learned that just prolonged it. And that started like a side fight where he'd like start yelling about me interrupting him. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's a bad tactic. And so it just started to be like, look at the floor. It'll time out. Just nod and go, okay. I mean, that's when, it started to make me question reality. Because of course, in the beginning in my head, I'm like, this is all bullshit, whatever. And then the longer it went on, the more I was like, maybe I am doing something wrong. He's so upset that I might actually be doing something wrong, because otherwise, how could you muster this level of upset?
Right.
Because I am not a naturally angry person. It takes a lot to get me angry. And genuinely, I'm not even saying this to be like, I don't think I've ever screamed at anybody in my life. And so it almost gives it an authentic, where it's like, he must be feeling something real, because in order to scream that loud, I must have done something to upset him.
Yeah. Have you ever been yelled at by someone before in that way? Like, do you have experience with really volatile people?
No. And that was the other weird kind of trick of this, is that because I had never been in a volatile relationship, I didn't know, I can't say I didn't know it's not normal. Like, obviously I know it's not, but I'm like, I had no experience with this personality type. So I guess I thought like, well, I guess I have to make the adjustments for this personality type, because I'm an easygoing kind of like chill person. So I'm like, I've kind of always been the person that's like, I don't care where we eat. I don't care where we go on vacation. Like, I'm happy to just be there. And his volatility made me be like, well, I guess I need to just be more chill. Like, if that's his personality type, I need to be more accommodating, more chill. Like, if I do that, then he'll stop yelling. That's the trick, right? It's like, if I just become more of a doormat, he'll stop yelling. So like, no, I had never had it. Again, I'm kind of like getting out of the timeline, but at its most severe, he had convinced me I was abusing him. Like, he started to tell me like, you are abusing me, you are manipulating me. And I was like, oh my God, am I? And I've been married. My first husband's one of my dearest friends. He's wonderful. Like, we don't need to be married to each other, but he's like a cool dude. And I called him, and my boyfriend, this guy, you know, Andy Wood, right? I dated Andy Wood after.
I know that name.
Yeah. He used to run Bridgetown Comedy Festival. And he and I are tight. We talk all the time. And he was after my first divorce, like my first long-term boyfriend, we dated for a few years. I called both of them and I was like, did I abuse you? I was being earnest. I called them both and was like, hey, I think I abused you. I think I'm abusive. And both of them were like, what are you talking about? Like, they were like, at first they were like, what? This is a weird prank. And then I remember Andy being like, softly being like, hey, are you okay? Like, what? And I'm like, no, I think I'm an abusive person. And they were just like, no. And then when I started talking to Andy, especially, he's like, April, I don't think we ever raised our voices to each other. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, well, I'm doing something, because I've never had anybody scream at me like this. And in order to get that level of emotion out of somebody, I must have done something, right? Like, so there was a period of time where I was like, I think I'm doing this. But I would, in my own brain, go, okay, I'm behaving the same as I did in previous relationships. And those people told me I'm not abusive. And those people never screamed at me. So I was like, maybe it's not me. Like, but I wasn't fully convinced. I was still adjusting my behavior and being quieter and kind of tiptoeing literally and figuratively around this person. And nothing ever worked. And I was also given, this is, again, it's difficult to talk about it out loud, because I understand how crazy it sounds out loud. But I have a journal. I still have it. Because part of his depression, he told me, and I have since talked about this with previous exes. He was like, I'm very prone to breakdowns. I'm very prone to panic attacks. And he was like, I can't control them. And he was like, but when you can tell that I'm about to have one, here are the things that I need you to do. He gave me this list. Again, it was very ritualistic. It was like, I need you to say this phrase a certain amount of times. I need you to hold my hand in this certain way. I need you to drop everything and like sit next to me and like do these things in this order. And I was like, okay, great. I can do that. And then it took a while, but I put the pattern, like these breakdowns and these like panic attacks only happened if I was doing work with my friends, had to go to work, a special occasion. Like, I started to put together like, oh, this seems to only happen like on my birthday, on Christmas, when my friend calls, when I have a work Zoom meeting. But until I figured out that pattern, I would drop it. I would be like, oh my God. And I would drop everything and I would do this in this certain order. And then the next time it happened, he would scream at me, you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it like I told you. And I was like, yes, and then I wrote it down. I wrote down like the order I'm supposed to do everything. And then the next time he'd be like, no, you're doing it wrong. You don't love me. You don't care if I am having a breakdown. You didn't even bother to learn the way and I was like, I wrote it down. I'm doing it in the order that you told me. No, you're not. And then I kept that journal because I started to write down everything, because then he started to tell me. That was the beginning of me questioning reality.
The journal was.
Yeah, well, because I would have to, he would say, I never said that, or I did say, you know what I mean? And I started to write down everything he was saying, because I knew at the end of the day, I would sit on the bed and go, I'm not 100% on what happened today. Like, I'm not 100% on what's real and what isn't.
Right. Oh my
God,
April. Because
he would scream something at me and then 5 minutes later go, I never said that. And I'd be like, you just screamed it in my face 5 minutes ago. No, I didn't. Right. You're lying. And so I would, at the end of the day, sit and write down everything that had happened, write down what he had told me, because I knew the next day he'd be like, none of that ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I was like, I don't know what's real and what isn't. I don't know what I'm doing wrong or if I'm doing anything wrong. And I remember describing, I had over lockdown. By the way, our second year together is over lockdown.
Okay.
So I'm locked in a house.
Yeah.
Like, I physically cannot get away from this person. And I had a work Zoom meeting and I was late for it. And my coworker was like, what's up? How are you late for a meeting in your own house? And I was like, well, I'm sorry. My husband had a panic attack and I had to like tend to him. And I started describing what had happened. And my coworker was like, what? Like, he was like, that's not a panic attack. What are you talking about? And I personally have never had one. So I was like, it's not, because what my ex would do is he would start, it was like he would lay on the ground and flail like a
oh yeah, that's just a tantrum.
Yes, it was like a toddler. Like, he would get on the floor, rock back and forth, punch out his arms and legs, screaming, wailing, crying, you don't care about me, you don't care about me, like that thing. And I would have to like get down by his side and like soothe him. And so as I'm describing, my coworker's like, I have panic attacks all the time. That's not at all what a panic attack is. And I was like, really? I didn't know. I was like, this is the first time I'm learning this. And also, that was when I figured out too, those that happened, he would always be like, I can't control when they're happening. I can't control when they're happening. And I was supposed to like anticipate them. And then I started to go, wait a minute, you've never had one of these at work. You've never had one of these in front of your children. Like, again, I'm like, this is never happening unless the two of us are alone.
Right.
So it seems like you can maybe control it a little bit. Because if it was really out of your control, why isn't it happening when you're like on the bus or at work or at the grocery store? You know what I mean?
Right.
It was never happening except for when the two of us were alone and when I had something to do.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that about abusers before. I've heard like, men who say that they can't control their temper, they can't control XYZ. It's like, well, how come you've never yelled at a coworker then? Or how come there's always, and some of them I'm sure have, but there's plenty of them that only let out those behaviors around their wife.
Yes. So it was also entirely my responsibility to, like, then I was supposed to anticipate when they were happening. Mm-hmm. Like, if I didn't anticipate it, like, beforehand, he'd be like, you're not paying enough attention. You don't care about me and my condition because you didn't stop it before it happened. Where I'm like, I'm not a doctor. How am I? Yeah. It was just like, everything was in service to him and his whims and his so-called condition. Like, that sounds now I gotta say, with distance and like books I've read about personality disorders and stuff, I'm like, bro, you don't have anything. Like, I don't really think he has anything, but whatever. Yeah. I'm not a doctor, but yeah. So everything was in service to that. And it became, if I wanted to have a certain meal, I was being I couldn't like cook the food I wanted. We couldn't watch the TV. If I wanted to do anything, I was being selfish. Anything at all.
You were only supposed to cook food he wanted?
Yeah. It was like, anytime I even said it was like, hey, I would like to go here. I would like to watch this movie. I would like to have this dinner. It would be like, you're being selfish. You don't care about me. And so it just kind of erased it even got to the point where if I joked around, I swear to God, this is true. If I like cracked jokes, he would go, you know that I can't be happy. You know that you joking or laughing around me is just rubbing it in that you can feel happy and I can't. Like he would frame it like, you're just doing that to shove it in my face that you can be happy and laugh and I can't. And you know that makes my depression worse and that you're being selfish. Like basically laughing in my own house was like, you're being selfish and flaunting. You're flaunting your laughter in my face when you know that I can't feel any happiness. Like he would.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. So it's, it like shuts off a whole part of I stopped talking. I stopped joking. I remember waking up in the morning and going, try not to say anything today because that way you can't say the wrong thing. Like I would go for days and be like, really try not to talk today.
Oh my God.
And then that way you won't mess up. You won't say the wrong thing. You won't get screamed at. And also, you know, I wouldn't, because of like him warping reality, then I'd also be like, well, then also you would know if you don't say anything all day long, then you know when he tells you that you said something that you didn't. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it helped me like anchor reality. Yeah. It was so dark because it was also that all of the things that he said in the beginning that he loved about. In the beginning, he was like, I love that you're a comedian. I love that like you're this weirdo who just travels around and tells jokes and you have this like non-traditional life and you just like kind of have fun and do what you want. Like it's so great. I love it. And then once I moved here, that all became, that's what I hate about you. I hate that they're joking around. I hate that you're like, you don't, like he tried to, you know, shame me for the things that originally, I remember him telling me like, I don't think you're funny at all. And I would be like, okay, I mean, look, hey man, that's entirely subjective. Like, sure. But then he would be like, you know, everybody thinks like people don't know you as well as I do. And they don't know that like, you know, it was just always framed as like intimacy. Like, I know you better than that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, do you? Like, he would try to convince me that friends I had known for 20, 30 years, he'd be like, I know you better than them. And I'm like, I don't think that you do. Like, that was the thing. And also tried to get me, when friends would come visit, he'd be like, your friends are being weird to me. They're being mean to me. And I'm like, everyone's being totally normal. Right. Like, all my friends are.
I wanted to ask, I was going to wait till the end, but I'm going to ask now. What did your friends think of him?
Well, at first, when we were dating, great. Like he was on his bed. They're like, he's great. But then, yeah, there's like so much to get into. Well, when Chip came to visit, you know Chip Pope, right?
I know the name. I don't know him.
Okay. But he's like the sweetest. You've never met anybody more pure-hearted in your life. Genuinely. Like he won't, you try to talk shit about people. He'll be like, oh man, don't talk shit. Like you can't even like gossip with him. He's so nice. Like he has a heart of gold. And he would come visit and we would go out and then like my ex would storm off in the corner. Like we went dancing one night and he stormed off in the corner and we looked around. We're like, where'd he go? And I found him and I'm like, what's going on? And he'd be like, Chip is being so mean and weird to me. And I was like, he's never been mean to anybody in his life. Yeah. I'm like, that's not a thing. And he's like, you don't know. You're not paying attention to me. You're not protecting me. You don't love me. He's being so weird and mean to me. And I'm like, I don't. And then you're torn because it's like, this is my husband telling me this, but I'm like, I know my friend. I've known my friend for 20 years. Like, I promise he's not being weird to you. And then we would have to leave places because he would insist that like everyone was being weird or mean. And that again became a pattern because the only social things that we did was when he had like a work function, like pretty early on when I moved here, his boss got married and like everybody at the work went and so I went with him. And again, no tantrums, no breakdowns, no panic attack, like totally normal. And I was like, that's interesting. And then anytime my friends would come, breakdown, panic attack, everybody's being mean to me. And I'm like, okay. And then the time that clicked is after probably like 10 times of that happening, we went and met some friends. Some friends of mine were in Greece and they were like, hey, come meet us because, you know, from England to fly, it was like $20 to fly to anywhere in mainland Europe. So we went and the night that we got there, we get to our room And I'm so I hadn't seen my friends, and I'm like, this is great. And it's like 10 of my friends from LA are there, and we're all hugging, and and I was like, uh-oh. And we get back to the room, and he was like, all your friends were weird to me. And I was like, literally every single person hugged you and said, nice to meet you. And it was the first time I was like, oh, that sucks, buddy. Guess you got to stay in the room for the night. Like, it was the first time it clicked that like, oh, this is like the 10th time this has happened in front of my friends. And there was a little bit of like, oh shit in his face. And he stayed in the room for a couple hours, and then he reluctantly like came back out when he realized I was not going to go.
You weren't going to go along. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like the first time I kind of woke up and was like, I'm catching on to this. But then of course, once we got home from that, I got screamed. It was like, you don't care about me. You put your friends over me. I got screamed at for like a week. And again, screamed. I had to call. I don't know how dark you want to get as far as like, he tried to commit suicide in front of me 10 times.
Oh my God.
15 times with cutting himself with knives. I had to scoop. He tried to overdose on pills. I had to flush pills down and he's not a small dude. Yeah. He is not a small dude. He's like a stocky dude. Like I had to stop him cutting him. But I stopped intervening with that because after a couple of times of me physically like trying to get a knife out of his hands or physically trying to get pills out of his hands, he started to say I was physically abusing him. He was like, it's physical abuse, you trying to get the knife out of my hands. And so I then was like, well, then I'm not going to do anything. So I think what I'm telling you happened with, again, like 5 exes that I've talked to. Mm-hmm. Because again, at the time, I genuinely thought it was me. I was like, I'm doing something that's making this guy go
berserk,
bananas. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm acting the same as I've always acted in every relationship I've ever had. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm doing something. And I realized that he's figured out the punishment I think he knows you can't hit a woman. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows that's the line. So it's like, I'll harm myself in front of you. Mm-hmm. Your punishment is you have to watch me harm myself in front of you. And he would do it he would punch himself in the face and be like, you're making me do this. You're making me do this. Or slam his head against either the wall or the door and like put holes in the walls and be like, you're making me do this while screaming and crying. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't know how to make this stop. I can't physically stop you from doing this. It would just be me begging, like, please stop. I'll do anything. Please just stop. And so, that's the thing with leaving. You go, if he's doing this in front of my face, what's he going to do when I leave?
When did you first think of leaving?
I think when I was realizing I started to get like passively suicidal. And what I mean by that is I would genuinely go to bed going, I hope I don't wake up tomorrow. I didn't do anything to harm myself. Right. I'm very not like, I've been lucky in life to have never dealt with depression, but I just remember going to bed going, God, it would be so easy if I just didn't wake up tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And like really wanting it to happen, going, and when I started to be very diligent about writing down in a journal what had happened that day, because I was like, I genuinely don't know what reality is.
So how many years into it was it at this point?
3 years.
Okay.
It was 3 years and it was lockdown. It was right after lockdown. I mean, obviously lockdown compressed everything. So it was lockdown because he wasn't going to work. Keep in mind, before lockdown, I at least had like 8 hours during the day where I was by myself and could like, again, become acquainted with reality again. Mm-hmm. But in lockdown, I didn't have that. So lockdown was hell on earth. Like I was getting screamed at from sundown to sun up to sundown and like no break, no reprieve, having my every move, again, being terrified to look at my phone. If somebody texted me, he would take my phone and be like, who is this? And if it was a male name, he would go through the text history to like make sure it was platonic and then be like, okay. And then like hand the phone back to me.
Were you in touch with your mom?
Well, I'm not tight with my mom.
Right.
So not really. I mean, like I only talk to my mom maybe like once a month anyway.
Okay.
So we're not really close, but like really close friends would be the thing that saved my life is my friend Mary, because she and I talk every single day. And so she started to be like, hey, what's going on? Like, I don't understand why you're not talking to me. That's kind of weird. And I would try to finesse it and be like, well, you know, I don't want to ignore my husband. Like, I just want to make sure that I don't, he's very sensitive. So I don't want to talk loudly on the phone in front of him. Like, I was giving her all that kind of stuff. And she's like, no, dude, I'm not buying it. That's weird as shit. Like, we're in lockdown. Why would your husband care if you're talking to your friends? Like, this is prime time where everyone's like Zooming each other just to like keep in touch. So she's just like, nah, dude, what the hell's happening? And then the more I started talking about our, I don't even like calling them fights because it was just me sitting getting yelled at.
Yeah.
But the more I started describing it, she was like, what? Like, she was just like, dude, what? And she was the one that was like, I want you to start recording him on your phone. She was like, will you do me a favor and like record this next fight that you have? And I'm like, okay. So I put the record button on like the screen lock. So it's like I could immediately just touch it. You know what I mean? So for the next few days I did and sent them to her. And she was like, this is the fucking craziest shit I have ever heard in my life. Like, she was the first person to kick my ass and go, April, this is fucking crazy. Like, leave him tomorrow. And I was even like, really? Because I had gotten so, I don't want to say used to it, but it was just like, it was my normal. It was my normal for 3 years. And she's like, no, dude, this is fucked up. Like, please leave. I am terrified for you. And I still was like, I don't think it's that bad. And then I found the email address of one of his exes. And I covertly emailed her. Also, keep in mind, of course, he was like, every ex is a crazy bitch. Right. Like, he'd been married before too. He has kids from multiple women. They're all crazy bitches, right? But it took me a while to put like, oh, that's every single story is somebody did you wrong. There's one common denominator here. Yeah. Statistically, it's not possible that everyone you've ever met in your life has done you wrong.
The same, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I found the email address of one of his exes. And I was like, hey, I know this is weird. Ignore me if you want to. I understand completely. But if there's any chance you'd be willing to talk to me, even just meet for coffee, like, I would be so grateful. And to her credit, she answered me in like an hour and was like, I will totally meet you in a park. Like, how about this park in like 20 minutes or whatever? I was like, totally. And so I lied to I was like, I'm going for a walk. And I met her in a park. Cause again, this is still lockdown. So we're like outdoors, like 6 feet away from each other in a bench in a park. And I immediately just started crying. And I was like, listen, I go, all I need you to do is tell me, am I crazy? Like, did you experience any of this or am I doing this? And she immediately started crying and she was like, it's not you. She was amazing. She was like, I'm so sorry. She was like, I thought he changed. I thought you guys were a better match. She just was like, I didn't think that was happening. I thought it was different. I thought, and so we both just were weeping and we're like exchanging stories. I'm like, does he do this? Did he do this to you? Did he do this to you? And she was just like, yeah, all of it. And I was like, holy shit. So I was just like, thank you for confirming I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, but I will say, sorry to go back. Before this though, the actual final straw was I signed us up for couples counseling because I was so convinced of my own I was so convinced like I'm doing something to upset this person to this degree that they're screaming at me all day, every day. And so I signed us up for couples counseling because during lockdown, it was so intense and every misstep, like he was ramping up the like signing of the contracts and like writing it out, like all that stuff was a regular occurrence.
Right.
And we signed up for couples counseling because one day, and again, I promise, I know this sounds so absurd, but this is so true. We had a spare room, right? Like the bedrooms are upstairs and he was a teacher. So like he was grading papers and he told me like, hey, I'm going to lock myself in this room. I've got to grade these like final exams. I'm going to be busy.
Chilling to me that he was a teacher. I did not know he was a teacher. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. He's not anymore.
Okay.
Sorry.
He said he's gonna. Oh no, go ahead.
Well, yeah. So he was up. He was just like, told me like, don't bother me. I've got to grade all these final exams. And I was like, yeah, dude, I get it. So he was up there for a couple hours, and I knocked on the door because I was going to cook dinner. And I knocked on the door to be like, hey, what do you want for dinner? I promise you, he was like, how fucking dare, screaming at the top of his lungs. I told you not to interrupt me. I told you not to break my concentration. I told you. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And like closed the door. He chased me around the house.
Oh my God.
Screaming at the top of his lungs. What did I say? I told you. And I was like, I know, I'm sorry. I'm about to cook dinner. I was just asking what you wanted for dinner. It doesn't matter what you were. I told you and you disobeyed me. And now I've lost my concentration. If I get fired, it's your fault. Like truly, this is a thing that went on for hours. I believe it. And I was like, okay. And then I got to the point where I'm like, you're wasting hours yelling it. If this is so important, go grade the paper. Like, that's not the point. The point is that you've completely, my train of thought is gone because of you. And now I'm not going to be able to finish this grading. And, hours. And I sat on the couch and he screamed for hours. And I was just like, dude, that was one where I was at my wit's end where I'm like, you could be up there right now grading. I get it. Sorry. I interrupted you. So that went on for so long that I was like, okay, yes, that is crazy. But then there was still an element of like, but I did interrupt him though. I did interrupt him. I said I wouldn't and I did. So there's still that element of like, maybe I did this. So I signed us up for couples counseling and we're doing Zoom, right? And we're Zooming with the guy. It was this like sweet old British guy. And immediately my ex goes, April is abusing me. She's been abusing me. She's been abusing me for years. And I was just sitting there staring into the Zoom, but kind of being like, oh my God, what if he's right? And of course the therapist is like, well, tell me more about that, And he's like, I told her not to interrupt me. She did it anyway. Every time that I tell her not to do something, she does it. And then he goes, this is again, a true, 100% true. He goes, and she gives me panic attacks on purpose. He goes, she has abused me 300 times. I promise. He goes, she has given me, over the course of our relationship, she has given me 300 panic attacks. And of course, I'm just sitting there like, okay. And he's like, she has psychologically abused me to the point that I have had 300 panic attacks. Which again, I'm like, where, what you did? Who's right. Like what? And I'm just sitting there staring into the Zoom like, oh my God. And of course the therapist as a professional is like, okay, tell me more. For example, today she interrupted me while I was doing my job and I asked her explicitly not to. And she knows that ruins my concentration for the rest of the day. And that now I can't get any more work done because she brought up this other thing. And of course the therapist was like, okay, well, so you categorize that as abuse. And he was like, that's right. She is psychologically abusing me. And then he goes, okay, well, I have to ask you a question. And he's like, what? And he's like, when you're at work, and you're working on a task and your boss comes and gives you another task, is your boss abusing you? That's what the therapist said. He was like, would you say that your boss is abusing you? Would you yell at your boss in the same way? And my ex was like, oh, that's not the same. He screamed even louder to the therapist. He's like, you know damn well that's not the same. And then he started going, I'm going to have your license revoked. You're fired. I'm going to write a letter to the whatever, screaming this at the therapist.
Right.
And I was just, again, sitting there like, oh my God. And so, screamed at the therapist, slammed the computer down, was like, he's fired. Then stormed into the other room, was like, I'm going to write a letter and have that guy, it's not disbarred, that's lawyers, whatever. Like, I'm going to write to whoever and get his, like, he doesn't know what abuse is. He doesn't know what treatment is. And I was just like, oh, okay. That was along with my friend Mary, that was the like, oh, this person's a maniac. Like, if that's how he's treating a therapist, like this independent third party that's like trained to do, I was like, yeah, he's a maniac. I got to get out. And then that's when I had the recording with Mary. And then that's when I emailed the ex. Yeah.
Talk to the ex. So then how did you get out?
Well, I came home. She told me the ex was like, she literally goes, make him think it's his idea. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, make him think he's breaking up with you. And I was like, look, ma'am, I don't have time to write a play here. I gotta get the fuck out. Like, I don't know how to like maneuver that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just have to get out. And so I came home, and this is within days of international travel the restrictions being lifted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, prior to this, I actually physically could not go anywhere.
Yeah.
So, I was like, I don't know what to do. So once that was lifted, I bought a ticket to Atlanta, like to my mom's house. I just said to him, I was terrified. Again, I was like, I don't know what will happen if I tell this man to his face I'm divorcing you. Mm-hmm. I was like, he could put me through a wall. He could throw me out the window. I do not know what his reaction will be. And so the next day I was like, hey, I think I'm going to go visit my mom. And because, I am not close with my mom, he was like, oh, really? Like, you're going to go visit your mom? And I was like, well, yeah, it's been locked. It's been an entire year. I haven't seen her in a while. And he was just like, interesting. Like, when have you ever wanted to go visit your mom? And I'm like, yeah, that's totally what I'm doing. And I think he did. Like, he knew I had one foot out the door. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go visit my mom. And I only packed enough to go visit my mom. Like, I wasn't, I have a house full of belongings here. I just took a suitcase. And then once I got to my mom's, I waited about like a week, and then I called and I was like, hey, very calmly. And like, at this point, also keep in mind, I still wasn't 100% I had been abused. Uh-huh. Like, I was still sort of like, oh, I didn't care for this person correctly. Like, it wasn't 100% like, wow, I got abused, until I started like telling more people about it. They were like, fuck, that's fucking crazy. Like, my friends were my mirror, right? Like, I started describing situations and they were like, holy shit, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And then I was like, wait, you're right, it is. But then so I called and I was like, hey, we need to get divorced. And then he was like, again, screaming louder than you can imagine. Then it was, fuck you, you bitch. I knew you never loved me. I knew you never cared about me. And then it was like, he was going to get me deported. I'll get you fucking deported. You can never come back here. And I was like, well, I'm coming back. You're in a house that I paid for where all my belongings are. Fuck you, you fucking bitch. If you ever try to come back, I'll call the cops. I'll change the locks, like crazy. Uh-huh. And I'm like, okay. And then I was able to be calm because I was so far away. And I was just like, well, we have to figure this out. I was like, it's going to happen. I'm going to come back. I own the house. I paid for it. You didn't. So it was just sort of like, you can scream all you want, but this is happening. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And so I hung up, and then I waited another week. I was still naively like, I'll wait for him to cool off. And then same exact thing. Like, I was like, hey, I tried to be like, listen, be an adult about this. This is going to happen. Oh, fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, bitch. Screaming bloody murder. I'll take everything and I'm like, okay, fine. And then a couple of days after that, I got an email from his lawyer. He immediately lawyered up. And I was like, oh, okay, well, here we go. But then this would have to be a whole nother episode. It took 2.5 years. It was so relentless. He tried everything. Like, because I was in America, he tried to make it so I couldn't come back. Mm-hmm. He immediately lawyered up because that voids the spouse visa. So, because I was on a spouse visa, and if you break up, if you get divorced, you don't have a visa anymore. Yeah. And he tried to report. He called the cops.
For what?
Okay. From that time that I tried to prevent him from committing suicide, he called the cops to say I had physically abused him.
Sorry.
And no, truly, because I found out later from the ex that I had been talking to that he called them to be like, I want to report abuse. And they were like, okay, sir, tell us the abuse. Mm-hmm. And he had to be like, well, my wife tried to physically wrestle a knife out of my hands 8 months ago or whatever. You know what I mean? And they're like, okay. And then of course they're like, well, where is she now? And presumably he was 5,000 miles away in Atlanta, Georgia. So they're like, okay, this isn't a real thing. But he was trying to get something on my record so I couldn't come back to the country. And so then I had to get a lawyer who I literally got by Googling Like, I Googled Brighton divorce lawyer, and my lawyer is the guy next to my grocery store. I was like, oh, that guy's next to my grocery store. Because I have no, like, reference. I don't know any lawyers here. So, who ended up being awesome, by the way. He ended up being lovely, because then I, like, FaceTime with him from my mom's house. I'm crying. I'm like, I think I'm going to get kicked out, and my ex is a maniac. And he's like, okay, tell me what's going on. And I, like, laid it out, and I was sending him all this evidence. I was sending him the secret recordings. He was like, you should have him arrested. That's when I went to, he goes, you know, coercive control is a crime in the UK. It's
not a crime here.
I don't know.
Okay.
Because I didn't know until he said that it was a crime here. But it's like, yeah, it's a crime to terrorize somebody to the point that they don't leave the house because of what you've told them you're going to do or not do. Like, if you tell somebody every single day, if you leave the house, I'll kill myself, that's a crime. Yeah. You're terrorizing them into compliance. Being scared to, yeah, exactly. And so I was like, okay, yeah, sure. But I'm like, just get this guy out of my life. I don't really care about that right now. And so it ended up being, and I was spoiled. My first divorce, me and David like sat on our living room floor and like filled out the paperwork and then like went to In-N-Out. Like it was the chillest divorce in history. I was like way too spoiled by that and was not prepared for what I had to go through with this person who was like, was so hell-bent on vengeance. And so I had to gather evidence in order to be able to stay in the country. I live here now on a set DV visa, which is settlement as a victim of domestic violence, because you basically prove to the Home Office, like, I didn't end this marriage. The reason this marriage ended is because somebody was abusing me. It was not my choice to end this marriage. And so I had a stack of, I had all the recordings. I had the papers he made me sign. Like, I had witness statements from 3 exes being like, he did all the same to me. Yeah. I had witness statements from my exes being like, I dated her and she's cool. She's not abusive. So I had witness statements from all the neighbors being like, we heard this guy screaming at her day in and day out. Like, I had all of this evidence that I was able to present and be like, yeah, it's not my fault that this happened. Like, so I was able to do that in order to stay in the country because he was trying everything to get me deported and to get me. And I got a restraining order. I had to go to Zoom court. Like, the story of the post, like, that's the thing. After leaving was almost worse. It was almost worse after I left.
Right. Because he was trying to destroy you.
Like, the amount of legal, I lost all my money, all my savings, all of it, because from on lawyers. Fees. Yeah. Legal fees, like, he tried to do the most frivolous. It was nonstop revenge.
Were you having to face him in these court?
Never.
Things? Never.
Good. I never had to face him. All of that was great, but it was like, there was a point for about 6 months when I got back that I just laid on my floor and stared at the ceiling. Because I was like, I have no money. I have no job. I have no personality. I had to like relearn the things I liked. I wasn't allowed to like watch the TV I liked, listen to the music I liked. Like, I had to like relearn my personality. Like, I just felt like a husk. And I was like, my life is over. I gave up everything to be here and it turned out like this. And I don't know how to get out of this. And I even did like a GoFundMe temporarily because I was so in debt. I was so in debt that I was like, I'm never going to get out of this. And like wonderful friends and stuff, like, as soon as I got enough to pay my lawyers, I took it down because that's all I needed it for. But I was just spiraling. I was like, all I want is for this person to be out of my life. That's all I want. And I didn't get a dime. That was the thing, is that like, I technically could have gotten money. I could have I'm like, I don't want, please leave my life forever. And it took years.
So how long ago has he been at it? How long has he been out of your life now?
3 years.
Okay. And are you still in the house that you guys had together?
Yeah, because it's awesome. And I bought it. It's mine.
Yeah. So,
yes. And I've completely like repainted it, redecorated it. Like, there's no trace that like he ever lived here. It's mine. And I don't, a lot of people are like, why'd you stay there? And I'm like, well, number one, cost. I'm not going to just flush all. It costs a lot of money and time to move here. And to give it all up and go back to America would be like such a waste. And number two, he doesn't own, you don't get to kick me out of the city. You don't own the city. It's not yours. Right. Like, I get to make my own life here. Like, there is an element of defiance of like, you don't get to chase me away.
Right.
Like, I live here, dude. So thankfully, what's really, I am not, I haven't seen him. I've never seen him like out on the streets or anything, but I think he's a coward. I think without the aid of lawyers, like I think if he saw me on the street, he would run away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never backed down. I was like, I'm not backing down. All of the crazy law stuff, and again, it would take 2 more hours to talk about that stuff, but like, I never backed down.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go, no, I'm not doing that. Or I would go, okay, try to sue me. Like he would threaten to sue me for like, and I'd go, okay. And then it would just disappear because he was like, oh, you were supposed to be scared of that. And I'm like, I'm not scared of it. Sue me, dude. Like cease and desist. Because I completely disappeared from social media at this time, like complete strangers, sweethearts, complete strangers who liked my podcast were sending me emails going, are you okay? What's going on? Some people guessed what was happening. Mm-hmm. There were some women who were like, I know what's happening because I've been there. Mm-hmm. And we're like, are you doing okay? Would DM me like, hey, what's up? Because I stopped even doing, if I posted a picture and like too many men commented on it, he'd be like, why are all these men, not even like salacious comments, just normal. He'd be like, why are these men commenting? And then I'd get screamed at all night. And I'd go, well, it's not worth it. It's not worth getting screamed at for an Instagram post. So I just completely disappeared altogether. And then when I first emerged and posted something really vague, like it was a vague, like, hey, I just went through a difficult situation. Like 3 days later, I got a cease and desist. That hints at our client, that damages our client's reputation. You better take that down and we'll sue you. Like anything even remote, like dancing around it, it would be like, take that down or we'll sue you. Ugh. And at first I was scared. And then now I'm like, okay, sue me, dude. Like the truth, everything I'm saying is true, which is the ultimate defense against defamation. So, okay, sue me.
I imagine, I don't know, and I don't know if you know, I imagine he's moved on to his next person to do this to.
He has, currently, I think he's had 2 girlfriends since me. Both are my friends. Both women he dated after me, when they broke up, found me on Facebook and sent me DMs. And were like, are you okay? Do this?
Yeah.
All the same stuff. All the same stuff.
Oh my gosh.
If anything, the window of his normalness is like shrinking. Like he was only Mr. Normal love bomb guy for like a shorter amount of time before he started like yelling, screaming, harming himself in front of them, coercing them, all of it. But like,
do you still have a restraining order?
No, I think it ran out. It was in the immediate, it was something that my lawyer was like, you need to get this. And so, yeah. And a really chilling thing was on the restraining order, he counterfiled. I filed and I had to write down very specific incidents. And again, what I've told you, by the way, is like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what happened. There was one time that I came home from visiting my Nana, because I used to go visit my Nana a lot. And I brought him back a Waffle House shirt because I was just like, that's funny, a Waffle House shirt. There's no Waffle Houses in the UK. And I promise you, I was like, hey, I got you this. And he was like, you're trying to control what I wear.
Oh my God.
He was like, I can't believe that you would think that you can dictate what and I was like, it's a Waffle House shirt. I was like, you cannot wear it if you want. It's a funny joke. And he would, for real, was like, this is just more ways that you're trying to control me. And I'm like,
such projection.
Oh my God. So that's the thing, is that I, when I was feeling, I had to write down like specific incidents of times that I felt unsafe, for the restraining order. Mm-hmm. And I turned it in. And then the next day and everything, like it had to be sent to his lawyers too. Like there's like a transparency where it's like anything I was saying to my lawyer, they would have to send to his. And like, the next day or two he counterfiled, and he took some of the things I wrote and just switched our names. Like he was like, actually April did that. And I'm like, that, what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
He got crazy. You the Waffle House shirt.
Seriously. It was like, actually April tried to do X, Y, and Z, or April never let me leave the house. April screamed at me all day long.
This guy.
And yeah.
Did you ever meet his kids? And like, what kind of dad was he?
I don't want to.
If you don't want to comment on it, that's fine.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult because his youngest, I was like a stepmom part-time. I don't want to comment on that. But his 2 adult kids are wonderful. Like, and so is the younger one. I knew them and they were all great too. Mm-hmm. They were all
so they were part of your lives.
They were a part of my life. but it's not, I guess it's not my place to comment on like what kind of dad he is.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense.
From what I witnessed, not great, but like, it's not, I'm not the kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not my place to say that.
Yeah. Have you returned to stand up? Are you thinking about it?
I do it here for fun now. I do it once in a while for fun. I know it's not going to be my job anymore because, you know, I'm in a different country. I'd have to start at the back of the line, essentially. But I do it for fun. I'm working on a book about this because of how much I really want I want people to talk about coercive control more because being in it, I do remember very clearly having the thought one day, like, well, he's not hitting me. Like going, I'm not sure if this is abuse because he's not hitting me. He's never hit me. And as if that's the only metric, you know what I mean? Like, but I really remember having that thought. And I think a lot of people do have that thought. And when I first started talking about it publicly, I have had some, like, I don't want to say hate mail, but it's like, I have had people being like, oh, what's the big deal? He screamed at you. So he screamed at you some. And I am like, okay, it's not just that. I would argue if anybody is ever screaming at you, there's never a time that you need to scream at somebody unless they're like actively murdering you with an axe or something like,
or about to get hit by a car or something.
Yeah. Like if, in a relationship with two people, like there's never a time somebody should be screaming.
Correct.
Never. So already, why is that happening? But if it's happening with such frequency that it's like, you know that if you make a joke, you might get screamed at for 6 hours. If that's not abuse, I don't know what it like.
This is textbook abuse.
Yeah. It's like, if you know that if you don't alter every single thing about yourself in order to not get screamed at, and in order to not have to watch a person harm themselves in front of you, it's almost as horrible to watch somebody repeatedly harm themselves in front of you is the stuff of horror movies. That's nightmares. Yeah. That's
torture. It's trauma. It's all of it.
Yeah. And, I don't know. It has given me the insight. I have had friends since this has happened to me. I have been able to help. Friends describe something to me and I've been like, break up with them right now. Break up with them right now. I know where this is going. You know what I mean? Like,
have they listened to you?
Yeah, they have. They have.
Good.
And because they know I'm like, I would not say this if I hadn't had this experience, but having somebody make you feel flipping a normal reaction to something. It's like punching somebody in the face and going, you made me hurt my hand. Right. Apologize because you made me hurt my hand when I punched you. Yeah. It's kind of like that. It's like, I've had friends where they've described guys like making them feel bad for having a normal reaction to something. And I'm like, no. You're having a normal reaction. If they're making you feel like it's not normal, that's only going to get worse. Because that was the beginning of it for me. The beginning was me going, I don't think checking in every hour is normal. And he was like, yes, it is. You're being weird. You're being mean. And I'm like, okay, I guess you're right. And like, just being able to keep going with that to where, to where laughing in my own house was like a selfish act that I wasn't allowed to do.
I cannot believe you went through all that. I am so sorry.
It was like living in prison. Yeah. But it gave me it made me like super, I've read so many books after that about everybody, by the way, throws around narcissism is not somebody who's obsessed with himself. That's not what it is. Everybody throws that around. Like, it's a very specific thing. And, personality disorders are specific things. And, I've become way more interested in them because once it was being in the middle of it and not having, especially in lockdown where I had no voice of reason. Until my friend Mary, I had no voice of reason. I had nobody to tell me like, this isn't normal.
Right.
And then once I looked back, I got out and I was like telling my friends back in Atlanta, like what had happened. And they were all like, this is so crazy. You have to write it down. And I started writing it down and I was like, yeah, this is super fucking crazy. Like crazy. That sounds flippant, but I'm just saying like, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is as far as like how much selfishness is okay in a relationship, how much sacrifice is okay in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody gives up something for the person they love, and a certain amount of compromise is healthy and required and good and does prove that you love the person. But like, I don't know. I just hope that there's more of an awareness of like somebody asking you to give up literally everything you enjoy, everything about yourself is not.
Yeah. I mean,
love.
I've been married for how many years now? 12. We have a couple kids. I'm not saying I'm a marriage expert or anything, but in terms of like the compromise and the sacrifices we make, you might be like, oh, dang, I wanted this for dinner, or oh, I didn't want to go there, or like I wanted to sleep in, I don't want to wake up early. But it's never like, this is a piece of myself you're asking me to give up. There's none of that. There's no making each other smaller.
Yes. And there's no like, I should be allowed to scream at you all day.
No.
Like there's no
screaming. We don't scream at each other. There's no screaming at each other.
But even I've had certain people be like, well, maybe he really does have depression, or maybe he really does have XYZ. And I'm like, okay, even if he has any number of things, the cure or the treatment is not to scream at your partner all day long. And I don't care what you have.
Yeah. The also like the boundaries in your relationship were so porous and messed up. Like, even if he has depression, it's not your responsibility to fix him. It's not your responsibility to change your behavior. Like that, to start right there, that's not okay.
Yes. Like that was the thing, is that I would be like, you know, have you tried going to the doctor? Anytime I would gently try to be like, what treatments have you tried?
Yeah.
He would just be like, well, nothing has worked. I know nothing can work. And so, yeah, it became my job to like fix it. And yeah, exactly. It's like, whatever severe anything that you have, there's no doctor, there's no therapist on earth who's going to be like, it's a free license to scream at your wife all day long.
No.
And if she doesn't allow you to do it, she's not helping you. Like, that's not the solution for anything that you would have.
No.
So
on the contrary, that's just indulging and acting out and all the things that therapy is supposed to help you to not do.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was also not like there was no like gentleness to it. There was no sort of like, you know, I've had friends who have had, the friends that I have who have had very severe depression. Number one, they actively try to, they are like, I am looking for ways to treat this. Like they would be like, I don't like feeling this way. I don't want to feel this way. I want to treat it. And there was a sort of like, and whenever they were having episodes where it was like they were in their deepest, darkest depression, they would go, you know what? I can't really go out tonight. I'm not feeling it. I'm feeling terrible. Like it wasn't something they were trying to inflict on anybody. And for him, it was very much an active, like, I am going to inflict this on you. I'm going to make you witness this, deal with it, fix it. Like, I get to take it out on you. I get to, it was an active thing. It was like, there was almost a perverse, there were times that I would see in his face that he was like, for sport, wanting me to cry.
Well, it does. I mean, I am hearing elements of sadism.
Yeah, I do think that. Like,
it's like a cat and mouse almost. Like, how much can he make you do?
Because also it would be, when it came to like solving things or the fight, like, you know, I've been married too. I've had boyfriends, I had fights with them, and you go, hey, that upset me when you did that. Okay, I'm sorry. Like, there was no solving anything. There was no ever wanting to reach any sort of agreement. It was like, no, you have to keep apologizing. There was something I did once, and he would bring it up every month or two and be like, I think you need to apologize for that again. I don't believe that you're genuinely sorry. And he would go, you need to thank me for not leaving you. He said that a lot too.
Oh my God.
He would be like, you haven't really helped me in my depression. If anything, you're making it worse. So you need to thank me for not leaving you.
You said that it was like a cult of one. And I really, as you were telling the story, I was thinking like, these really are tactics that cults use. Like people get sucked up into a cult and then it's all about they're trying to like become more virtuous and get rid of any problems in their personality. And no matter what, they're always messing up. And, you know, they have to like these people they can't be close with. And it does sound like he's using these I guess that's all coercive control, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's always like you're in a deficit and you have to like prove to them that you care or prove that you're working on the relationship or prove that you're trying to fix it and change. Yeah. And again, it's like like he would be like, you need to prove you love me. I don't believe you love me. Like say things like that a lot. And it's again, you're like, how do I don't know how to do it. It's like proving that there's oxygen. Like, how do I prove it to you? I don't know.
You can't. It's just about watching someone like prostrate themselves. Ugh. Well, this is a bit of a hard segue, but I do have these segments that I do on the show that are a bit lighter. Would you like to do them?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, fabulous. I love words. I remember where I was when I first learned a new word. Words are kind of my favorite thing. I wish they were, but people are always like, you would love Scrabble. I'm like, I really don't love Scrabble. I just love talking about words. Do you like bananagrams? I've never played bananagrams. Ooh, although I think I received better than Scrabble. I think I received it when I was a guest on at midnight. I think they used to give people bananagrams. I need to whip out my bananagrams.
It's awesome.
Okay, so hang on one second. We have a song that Tony made.
Okay.
What words do you like? Do you like? What words do you like? Do you like?
There's a song that used to get played on the show a lot because a couple of one of Jenna Kim Jones, frequent guest, grew up in South Korea, and she and her gigantic family had appeared on this kids show, and they used to sing this song called "What Fruits Do You Like?" And that is a line. That is the song, but with what words do you like? But when I hear it, I'm like, this song needs to continue because it's a long song. Anyway, April, what is a word that you like?
Okay, this is going to be kind of a letdown.
That's okay.
Only because it's a very simple word, but I like the way British people use it, and that word is absolute.
Oh, I like that word.
Because if you're a British person, if you put that in front of any object, it immediately becomes an insult.
Oh.
And I had a friend, I promise, who said, I forget if it was somebody on TV, and they hated whoever, and they go, "You absolute cushion." And that's what they do. They just put absolute in front of any noun, and it becomes like the most serious. Like, how do you defend yourself against that?
Yeah,
they'll just be like, can't. "You absolute light bulb," and then you're like, "Fuck, that's devastating. How do I come back from that?"
Yeah.
So they do have a habit of just putting absolute in front of any noun, and then it just becomes like the most damning insult you've ever heard in your life.
It's amazing. I love it. All right, and then we have a segment called "Just Me or Everyone."
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
All right. Do you have one, April?
I think mine is when I'm walking. So obviously I walk a lot here, like in England especially. I can't, if I feel that somebody's behind me on a sidewalk, I have to like pull over. Even if they're not like touching my heels or anything, it's just like if I feel the presence of somebody on a sidewalk too closely, I will pull over on the sidewalk and let them pass me. And same if they're, you know how sometimes you accidentally go the exact same speed as like a stranger on the, I'm like, I pull over. I just stop and pull over, let them ahead of me a little bit and then go because I can't, that's too weird and I can't handle it.
This was So I was walking with my kids. They're 9 and 7. We were walking into a restaurant and I felt like we were taking up the whole sidewalk. And my 7-year-old was like, "Why do pools smell a certain way?" And so I was like, "That's because there's chemicals." And so we were having this conversation. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I feel like there's a woman behind us. And I said to them, I'm like, "Guys, we should pull over to the side." And she's like, "Oh no, I'm fine. I'm enjoying hearing about the pools."
But see, that's would make me go, also, "You shouldn't be. You're not in the conversation." Like that's how I feel people are doing that behind me. And I'm like, I don't want you to hear my conversation.
You know, she was totally in because Owen then said, like, you know, why did the pool smell this way? He goes, there's something about the smell that's so tropical. And she was like, no, I'm enjoying it, hearing about it. I thought tropical was a big pull for a little guy.
Oh, nice. I mean,
So
I'm sure she was a very nice lady, but
I was okay with it because she
Yeah.
was like complimenting my kid. But had it been a creepy dude who wasn't complimentary, she was a fourth part of our conversation that I wasn't aware of.
right.
Yeah.
But see, that's again, as nice as she was, that's why I hate it. I'm like, I know you're listening to me. Get away.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're too close.
And then lastly, hey, go fuck yourself. Would you like to tell anyone or anything, you know, to shove it?
I mean, obviously, my ex. Obviously. That has to be.
All right. Hey,
That has to be my answer.
hey, ex.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
Here's one. This is an ambush. Would you like to shout out anything that you love or like?
I mean, does it have to be like a thing, or is it I mean, all my friends who literally saved my life.
Hey, friends.
All my friends.
Hey, I love you.
Yes. All my friends, and also I got to say, a few of the other exes are some of my closest friends. A couple of them I hang out with on a regular basis. Like, we found each other through this catastrophic thing where they went through the exact same thing I did, and now we're like friends. And
Oh,
hang out.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, his exes. I thought you were saying
His
a couple of your exes. His exes.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I have cool exes too, and like, I actually went to Andy's during the period of escaping, like literally, like I went to my mom's and then Andy has a house in Palm Springs and I was like, can I please come to your house and like sit in the desert while I'm going through the scariest time of my life? And to his, I hung out with my ex-boyfriend during my divorce and he couldn't have been lovelier.
It
But
must
yeah,
have been, I imagine it was healing and therapeutic to be around people who are treating you like you're, you know, who you are.
Yes, who like know who I am. Yes, because I was living with a person who was telling me every day, like, your friends don't really know you. They don't really like you. I mean, he was trying to get me to hate my friends. So he'd be like, I don't think your friends care about you. I don't think they really like you. I don't think, and yeah. And so finally to be around them and go, yeah, they do, dude. They've known me for decades longer than you. And they actually know the real, who I am. And again, this guy's my ex-boyfriend and we're hanging out.
Yeah.
And we're not yelling at each other. So maybe you're wrong about everything. It was like deprogramming. So definitely all my friends and his exes and everybody who helped me.
Do you come visit LA very often?
Yeah, not often, only because of just like costs of plane tickets and stuff. But yeah, I've been a few times. I come visit Chip. Chip comes to stay with me every December because he's a teacher now. And so he comes for Christmas break. He stays like the entire month at my house and has for the past like 4 years. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing the story.
Hey,
how do you feel?
I feel good as far as like, I hope if you go to my Instagram, I've written about this. I wrote a very detailed, I have gotten such amazing emails from people. All I want people to take away from this is like, if you recognize any of this in your relationship, please leave. I promise, please. Like, if you've been married 20 years or you've been dating for 2 months, no one should ever make you feel ashamed of just being yourself. Like, there's no world in which someone should ever be screaming at you, should be locking you in the house, should be harming themselves in front. There's never a time that's okay. There's just not a situation where you're like, well, actually, I see what. No, it's not okay ever.
Right.
So it's like,
it's just not. If
you recognize any of this, and again, I have a more detailed thing. I haven't, this is like the first time I've talked about it on anything.
Yeah.
Because I still find it difficult to articulate because it was so horrifying. But like, I wrote about it when I got out to get it out of my head and to just be like, please don't stay in a situation like this.
If people go to your Instagram, they can find what you wrote about it.
Yeah. I wrote something about it. It's linked in my bio.
And throw out your Instagram handle.
April Rich.
Okay.
APRILRICH. Yeah, don't let anybody tell you that your personality is wrong.
Yeah.
If it is, then you're dating the wrong person. That's the other thing too. It's like, if you don't like everything about my personality, then go date somebody who doesn't have this personality. Don't try to change mine. That's
Amen.
also a thing.
Yeah. Okay. So they can go to your Instagram. Is there anything else you want to plug?
That's pretty much it for now. Everything is
Okay.
there on my Instagram bio.
And
Yeah.
I would like to remind everyone that I have a Patreon. Wait, hang on. Patreon.
Patreon.com/Allison Rosen.
That's right. Weekly bonus episodes. They're sort of a combination of news and then also personal stuff. And they're delightful. If I say so myself, I am biased. Also, there's a level where you can text me and I'll text you back. You can get all that at Patreon. And then also I have a Substack.
Substack.
AllisonRosen.substack.com. Please, if you like what you're hearing, or even if you don't, leave us a review wherever you're listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, what have you, because it helps out the show. April, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you are on the other side of this, and I really appreciate you sharing your
Thank
story.
you.
I think that people will relate and will see themselves in that, and hopefully it'll help. I think it'll help people.
I hope so. I mean, it's taken me a few years to like climb out of that hole and like get myself back and like remember my personality, but it's like, I'm getting there. But yeah, truly, I hope anybody, if any of this sounds familiar to anybody, that you tell your friends. It was embarrassing for me to do it, but don't just be like, hey, I think maybe something weird's going on, and tell your friends and let them be the ones who help you.
Yeah. Thank you. Listeners, thank
Totally.
you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen show? We had a good time, but now we gotta go. Yeah, Allison Rosen is your new best friend.